What is going on, everyone? Welcome inside Little Brick Cafe for the Nation pregame show presented by Deuce Vodka. Make sure you pick up your Deuce Vodka, available at all Alberta liquor stores at Sobeys and Safeway Liquor. We have a lot to talk about. This is Jay. I'm Josh. The Oilers are essentially back, Jay. Obviously, it was a bit of a tough stretch versus the Leafs, but
what? I forgot about the Leafs.
Yeah, I was going to say, what? Never happened.
Happened.
Nothing will change the tide more than a Saturday night win against the Flames.
Oh, Battle of Alberta. And it's nice that the Battle of Alberta showed up.
Yes.
Very good.
That was good.
Couple tilts, it was nice. Spirited affair.
Yes. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to the lineup structure for tonight's game, because obviously we saw it last game. Dave Tippett was starting to experiment with a couple of new combinations on that front end, and he's going to continue on with them tonight. We actually haven't talked at all about this, so we're coming in cold. I have no idea. This is fresh. I have no idea what Jay's opinion on this is, but we should mention, of course, the Oilers taking on the Ottawa Senators tonight. The Senators are coming off of a win last night, a shootout win with that against the Calgary Flames. Jay, you mentioned to me a few minutes ago that was a 7:30 puck drop down in Calgary. 7:30, one of the two. And now they're coming up to Edmonton to play on a back-to-back, another 7 o'clock puck drop. Especially when a team goes into overtime and a shootout, this is something that you have to jump on. You got to get on a team like that early, don't you?
Yeah, like as much as I hate giving the Flames a point, because that 3-point games suck, but we got a big enough gap there that if we keep winning, it doesn't matter. But yeah, 7:30 puck drop, game ended late, it went into overtime, went into shootout. You're gonna have a tired Sens team. So we have to take advantage of this, but we also cannot underestimate these pesky Sens. They've got some firepower. They're a little leaky on defense, so we have to expose that, and we need to shell them.
Well, if we've learned anything over the last few days, of course, Twitter can be a very educational place. We've heard some comments from a few reporters down south, and by south I'm referring to Calgary, that we're calling Ottawa a free space on the bingo card.
Oh, yeah. And the turtle days are over.
Yeah, and the turtle days are over, apparently. But Ottawa has been far from a free space over the last little bit here after a tough start to the season for that team. They've turned the tide a little bit. I don't want to pump their tires too much and say that this is a team you got to worry about contending for a playoff spot with, but they're a good team. They got a couple of
They're 8-7 against everyone outside of Edmonton, and they're 0-4 against us. So it just tells you that they're pesky. They're beating good teams. That means they're beating the Jets, they're beating the Canadians, they're beating the Leafs, and they're beating the Flames, which they should. Sorry, Calgary.
We got some people coming in on Facebook already. Bryce says, Jesse popped one in for Jay. You had to be fired up about that.
He popped in for me, but he popped it in for my boy Hot Dog. Hot Dog's the one that told me to bet Puljujärvi, so I went aggressive on a Puljujärvi goal. And sure as shit, first goal, Yesy, let's go. Thank you, Hot Dog. I owe you a delicious treat, my friend.
And you said you would do that. You said if Jesse scored, Hot Dog would also reap the benefits.
Yeah, Hot Dog's getting hooked up. It's a team affair.
Taylor Sims says, what a group of handsome lads. Tell Bag Milk I say hi. Thank you, Taylor. Bag Milk's not here. If he was here, I would let you know, or I would let him know. Michael Parker says, Koskinen's last game. We're going to touch on that in a few minutes after I go over the records of these two teams, of course. You've already heard Mikko Koskinen getting the start tonight. But on that, Edmonton now sitting third in the North Division, 15-11, 30 points, whereas Ottawa, of course, they're at the tail end of the North Division. 7th place, 9-17-1, 19 points. But in their last 10, they're 5-5-0, which if you're looking at it from a last place team, staying 500 over a 10-game stretch, it's nothing to shy away from.
Well, and now that you just said the full record, I have to put the caveat on those records I just said, the 8-7 and the 4 or the 0-4. That's since January 30th.
Yes.
Save some face here. I do know some things.
So, as we mentioned, the Oilers are back. There was a lot of skepticism, and I know you're going to
it's like, yes, we lost to the Leafs 3 games in a row, but our body of work over the last 5 weeks is still exceptional.
Yes, and the biggest thing is that if you're going to go on a stretch of losses like that, you have to answer the bell when push comes to shove, and the Oilers did that. If you're, from my perspective, when I was watching that game halfway through, I was, curling my fingers a little bit, thinking, the rhythm of this game, I just don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed like there was a flip of a switch, and McDavid said, all right, we got to get this going here. And did you kind of get the same sense from McDavid?
Yeah, 100%. He started, but you can tell McDavid is kind of taking matters in his own hands when he comes in and scores off the rush, because he normally comes in, enters the zone, and is trying to set up something, gorgeous. But he came in and took care of business real quick. Wham bam, posting in. Sorry, Markstrom. 3-2. Oilers win. Suck it. But yeah, it was a weird game to kind of start, and I was like, uh-oh. And they scored first, and I was saying how important it was for the Flames for the Oilers to score first, and the Flames did. I'm like, what's happening here? But to Tippett's credit, he mixed some things up, and saw who was playing and who was competing, and put them together. Like I like, obviously, this is a Band-Aid solution. This isn't a rest of the season solution. But McDavid, Draisaitl reunited again is great, and Yamo fits on that line real nice. Like, that was fun to watch.
Jake comes in and says, "You're telling me that Bouchard isn't playing tonight?" On that, let's jump into the lineup. So we'll get to the defensemen in a minute, but the big conversation, Jay, you just mentioned it, is surrounding that top six. We're going to see McDavid, Yamamoto, and Draisaitl on that top line. RNH is going to center a line with Puljujarvi and Ennis. Ennis coming into that top six. And then that third line is going to be Kara with Turris and Shore. Fourth line, Haas with Neal and Chason, meaning the German superstar Dominic Cahoon coming out of the lineup. First of all, Jay, you mentioned it briefly. Tell me why you think Yamamoto's a good fit on that line. Like, what does he bring to the table? Is it his forechecking ability? Is it just like the tenacity? What is it?
He just brings that compete level, and it's infectious. But yeah, it's that tenacity. He goes and He just steals pucks from everyone. Like, and if you can steal pucks and get on the Connor McDavid stick, like, something's gonna happen, right? And if you keep doing that, like Yamamoto does, like, opportunities are gonna happen. So he's a great fit. He's gonna go and just muck around and just, he hits. So he's gonna go hit some guys for us. He's gonna go get some pucks. He's gonna go forecheck hard, and this is just gonna make Draisaitl and McDavid's job so much easier.
And if you were asking me who I'd rather have in that top line, of Puljujarvi or Yamamoto, for all the reasons that you just listed, 100% Yamamoto. You have a finisher in Draisaitl. Obviously, McDavid can finish when he pleases, but just having a guy that can get in, and I'm not saying Puljujarvi doesn't do that, but Yamamoto is so good at just getting in, getting on pucks, and just turning pucks over, that he's going to allow a lot of time and space for McDavid and Draisaitl, and just a lot of possession time.
McDavid doesn't even need space, and he's going to have like 1 centimeter more of space for McDavid is like giving him 10 feet. So
which means that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to center the second line with Puljujarvi and Ennis. Jay, you've heard me say this before. If Tyler Ennis is in your bottom six, he's the most skilled player you have in your bottom six. Yep. Tyler Ennis is a very skilled player.
Very skilled.
Obviously, he's not to the caliber of a guy like even maybe Yamamoto or Puljujarvi, but I don't mind the play having him on that left side.
No, like I said, he's an offensively talented hockey player, and you can put him anywhere in the lineup. Have we watered down the second line a little bit? Maybe. This is RNH is going back into the center position, which is that's who he is. So it'll be good to kind of see how he slots in and how he can perform at center. And he's got Ennis on his left and Puljujarvi on his right. Like, those are two pretty good tools. So hopefully Puljujarvi can add some value and help carry the line and help RNH there a little bit, because he can go out there and swing his boot around and knock some pucks loose for the boys. And RNH, very cerebral guy. Ennis smart. He'll know where to be. So the line's got potential. I don't know if the chemistry will be there tonight, because that we've never seen those three together. Ever. So that's interesting. So we might not see them kind of take shape tonight, but I hope they do. They're all skilled guys, so it should be good to see. But that first line should be powerful.
The word you just used to describe Nugent-Hopkins, cerebral, I love it. He's such a cagey player. And I've said this in the past, that I don't think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is necessarily a pure finisher. He's not a sniper, but having him playing the center position, it adds just a little bit more freedom and flexibility for him in his game. He gets around well, and I think that having Puljujarvi on his line, there is that finisher there, and then also having Ennis just adds a little bit of skill.
Puljujarvi's smiling.
We know what the bottom six is going to bring us. Just stay even and we'll be happy. Let's talk about the defensive pairings. We got a lot of comments coming in on Facebook. We're going to get to those in a minute. Don't you worry. Let's talk about that top pairing. Nurse and Barry is going to stay together. Larson and Russell, Jones and Bear. Bouchard, once again, a healthy scratch. Is it time to get him back in the lineup? Or
well, I guess, like we got to get him some games. Obviously, Tippett's feeling comfortable with the 6 that he's dressing tonight. That's the same 6 we had on Saturday, right?
Same 6, yeah.
So, we need some wins right now coming out of, yes, I've not completely forgotten the 3 that we lost to Toronto, so it's important that we get some wins. So if he feels like that 6 is buzzing, you have to trust him. But yeah, I would like to see Bouchard back in.
Scott's coming in. He says, trade Neil for Hall. I know Jay will get fired up if we touch too much on that one, so we're just going to skip past it. He responded to my tweet on, when did I tweet that out? A few days ago. I'm mostly just trolling. I don't necessarily think
would we do a Neil for a Hall trade? Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to have to dump off about 3 first-round picks to make that happen. Chris B. Noss says, do you see Koski as our third goalie if Stalock comes in strong? Hope all is well, guys. Chris, hope all is well with you as well. As always, thank you for being a part of the show. The thing is with Mikko Koskinen, you can put him on waivers and send him to the taxi squad if you want to activate Stalock and you want to keep all the other players obviously active on your roster. He's not going to get picked up by any team. If he does, it's a Christmas miracle. But, I wouldn't necessarily call him being our third goaltender, but I would definitely say that if Stalock comes in and performs well, he could get some legitimate time here.
Oh, 100%. Well, think about the cap implications of having Mikko on the taxi squad. That saves us $1 million in cap space. So if Stalock can come in and push for that, Uncle Ken's going to be put in a position where he might have to think as Mikko as his third for the rest of the season to open up space for some kind of trade deadline acquisition.
Yep. Chadwick says, parlay of the day, Canucks plus 1.5, Oilers money line. Tyler says, is Bouchard scratched again? Yes, he is. Jake's coming in saying, you guys mad about Bouchard not playing? I'd argue playing Bouchard in this series against Ottawa, he dominated in the series when he played. I think tonight will depend a lot on if Evan Bouchard gets.
I think we'll see him at some point in this series.
Yes, I agree. 100% agree. Chris B. Noss says, Koski, Benson, and a second in 2022 to Arizona for Kemper. I don't know. We'll see. I necessarily don't think the Oilers are going to make a move at the deadline for a goaltender. We've talked about this. I think they're going to wait until the offseason.
You know what happens when we do? We go for a cup run. So
yeah. Let me see here. Michael Parker says the discipline needs to be better tonight. And I think that's a good point by Michael Parker here because we saw it especially last game, and we saw it a couple times in the games before that, and I'm not harping on him at all here. I don't care about the body language. It's just part of the emotion that he shows when he plays. Leon Draisaitl, when he starts to get frustrated, he has a tendency to take those stick penalties.
Yeah, he gets slashy, doesn't he?
Yeah. Ryan Collins says, how will Tip deploy Stalock? Will Kosk or Smith have to clear waivers to be placed on the taxi squad? Both of them would have to clear waivers to be placed on the taxi squad. Neither of them would get picked up. If they get
Smith might. Who knows? He's playing unreal, so you have to put Koski. Yeah, it has to be. If you're going to do it to give Stalock a chance, it's got to be Koski.
James Lee coming in says, any word on what happened to Archie? I'm actually totally in the dark here. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, so he was a last-minute scratch, so I don't know if it's something that maybe he tweaked or something that he kind of happened the game before and tweaked in warm-up, or I don't know. Like, they don't give us anything.
No, it's classic NHL.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with Cassian. How's Cassian doing? When's he back?
What is he up to?
How you doing, Zach?
I imagine he's a viewer of the pregame show. Feel free to comment, Zach, if you are watching. Ben Osterveld says, love the fourth line tonight. Great mix. Of course, that fourth line is going to be Haas, Chason, and Neal. Different added elements to each of those players' game.
I don't mind it because Chason's also playing with a chip on his shoulder, so he's zipping around, banging and crashing. Neal, heavy guy, can bang and crash. And man, I have got so much time for Gaetan Haas. That guy's a smart hockey player. Like,
he is.
Like he is better than a fourth line hockey player, but him as your fourth line center is fine. That guy buzzes around, kills penalties. I got a lot of time for Gaetan Haas.
I think that us as fans and Ken Holland would agree, if Gaetan Haas is our fourth line center for years to come, we'll have no complaints.
We're doing okay.
No complaints. Dylan Crow says the Sens better be ready for the Connor and Leon show tonight. 3 points each minimum.
Hey, it is totally possible.
Yep.
Totally possible, but if you want to go and chase, and this can go into the betting talk for later, but there's a derivative there I think you want to focus on of those two, and if you want to make better money, and that is our boy Yamamoto.
Yes, exactly. If you want to...
if they go ham, he'll go ham.
What's the word for it? Collateral? No, what's the word for it?
Derivative.
No, yes. What's
correlation? What are you looking for?
No, I can't think of the word where it's like you're reaping the benefits of something around you. or something around you.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to the bar and you're with your buddies and they're really
Oh,
good
residual.
looking. Residuals. Yeah, you knew exactly what I was talking about.
In that frame.
As soon as I said that. Residual is the effect of Yamamoto tonight. James Lee says, Bouchard and Jones, the best D-line we have. Yeah, if you want to look at it like that. I'm a big Tyson Barrie guy. But Tyler Cohen says, Bouchard is a top 3 D-man on this team. Tippett has lost his mind if he's dressing someone like Bear over Bouchard. This is a conversation that Jason Greger has had a lot of time for in the last few days here. They're saying, okay, if you look at Ethan Bear's duration of work from last season and you compare it to Evan Bouchard's overall game, Ethan Bear's a better defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at it from an even playing field, but what they have both brought to the table this season, the separation between Bouchard and Bear isn't that much.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, that's completely fair assessment. Like, Bear's a little bit more established defender, I think, than Bouchard. Bouchard more offensive upside for sure.
Yep.
But I'd like to see them both in the lineup, to be honest.
Yep. Let's see what we got here. Don Horak says, I get nervous every time Bear is on our own end with the puck.
Well, maybe as of late, but one thing Bear shows is his ability to move his feet with the puck, to open up a pass, or to make a pass for that matter.
I think, I want your opinion on this. For me, over the last few games, and I've seen it a lot this season so far from him, I think that Tyson Barrie is underrated with the puck on his stick in our own end.
For the most part, yes, he is so shifty.
Like,
loves the spinorama.
He loves to do the zippy zoos.
But sometimes he tries too much and then coughs it up. And you're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And then it looks really bad. And then you forget about all the good stuff he did.
Taylor Sims says, would the Oilers be better off with a shooter in net? Taylor Sim, let's put some respect on the name of Mike Smith, who was a NHL top 10 save percentage goaltender. I think he's still top 10. And Mikko Koskinen, who has had his moments.
This is a big game for Mikko because, his last few outings haven't been that great. And, he's lost the confidence of us. Clearly, the coach, Smith's been playing his, most of the games there. So
Smith's his guy.
Well, but can you blame him right now? Smith is playing unreal. Like, that is something.
With the exception of a few, he's at his moments, but every NHL goaltender.
But then he battles back.
Yes.
Right? Like, if he does have that off night, he's battling back the next one, or he's had a bad period and battled back for the rest of the game. Like, so he's been pretty good for us. Yeah, I really hope Koskinen can come back and play a good game, because we can't have first shot goals.
Yes. Don Horak says, please keep Yamo with the dynamic duo for a few weeks here. Dylan says, Bouchard is the next John Carlson. Change my mind. Some people agreeing with him. Dylan agrees. I think we're going to see here. I've said this before. Maybe not even next year, but 2 years from now, I could not tell you what the Oilers' top 6 will look like on the back end.
Oh, I know.
No idea.
It'll be so different.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Is it going to include a guy like Darnell Nurse? Is it going to include a guy like Ethan Bear? We got Philip Broberg coming up. Evan Bouchard's going to be an every night guy. Caleb Jones, what happens with him? Even this offseason, there's a question mark surrounding that. But that's a lot of speculation for us to have on another day, Jay. Let's jump into our Deuce Vodka mode. Who are you looking at tonight?
My Deuce Vodka player mode, Deuce Vodka is delicious, by the way, is I want Mikko to exit Cam Talbot first shot goal mode and just channel and enter a little bit of Mike Smith mode. This is the guy that's pushing for your job and pushing for the crease. Let's just play solid performance tonight, Mikko. That is what we need.
For me, I'm just going to keep it simple. I just want Tyler Ennis to just enter top 6 mode. You're playing on the top 6 tonight. This is an opportunity for Tyler Ennis. Depending on what happens, especially, I think, how do I want to word this? That the second line with RNH, Puljujärvi, and Ennis will determine how long we can stay with this top 6.
Oh, 100%.
Because we know that top line is going to do their job. They're going to produce. If
Yep.
they're not producing, there's an even bigger issue. But it's that second line. Can Ryan Nugent-Hopkins drive a line? Can Puljujärvi be the finisher that they need without McDavid on his line? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Can Tyler Ennis fill that gap? We'll see.
We'll see. Well, and the one thing we're finding with Puljujärvi is he's putting himself in the right places and positions to score. And when you got a guy like RNH, he can work with that. He's a smart guy. He's a playmaker himself.
Yep.
He'll find him. So, yeah, it should be interesting. Like, obviously, drinking the Kool-Aid by the gallon over here. So I'm excited to see what this second line looks like. But first time together, so could be.
As I mentioned before, Deuce Vodka available all the Sobeys and Safeway liquor stores. Make sure you pick it up. Take a picture, tag us on Twitter if you do end up picking up some Deuce Vodka for yourself. James Lee comes in, says, Smith is a beast in the room, makes everyone and holds everyone accountable. And that's what you're going to get with Mike Smith.
Well, it's that veteran leadership. It's like it was what Matt Hendricks was when he was here. He was the leader in the room. He wasn't necessarily your best player, but he held up people accountable, and that's something we don't have, and that's something Connor needs help with. Connor is our captain. He goes and leads by example. He goes and takes the brunt of everything if things aren't going good as a captain. But we need that vocal guy, and Connor's young, and most people in the room are older than him. So it's good to have a veteran guy help support McDavid with the leadership side by being the vocal, in your face when needed leader to help kind of keep the team together and keep the team focused.
Mike Gronsky says no Cahoon or Archibald tonight. What am I saying? Cahoon, as you mentioned, a healthy scratch. Archibald, not sure.
Yeah,
a little bit
he's
banged up.
Banged up.
He came out of warm-ups a few nights ago when it looked like he was going to draw into the lineup. Obviously, kind of an ongoing
in the Battle of Alberta too. I just really would
have
loved
to have. He was my
there.
player mode for that day, and
then
he ends up getting scratched.
Yep.
But Blake Stubbington coming in saying guys need to be in front of the net.
Yeah,
just a higher battle level in front, Jay?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Puliarvi needs to be better with that. Yamo always goes to the front of the net. He just gets pushed around, but he fights for his ice in front of the net. This is where Neil and Chason and Kara really need to do some work there. In our top six, it's tough. We don't have those net detectives that are sitting around front to clean up.
Okay, Jay, I got a bit of a thinker coming in here from you. We got some big brain energy.
Gee, it's Monday.
Some big brain energy coming from the Facebook chat. I'm going to start with a comment by Shane Foote, and then I'm going to move it into a comment by Dylan Crow. Are you ready? First comment coming in from Shane Foote says, RNH is fine. It's up to the wingers if that line works. And then Dylan Crow, just before that, comes in and says, anybody else think that Ken Holland is big braining again and putting RNH at center right before the trade deadline?
Ooh, that's
tough.
That's some tinfoil hat stuff right there.
Tough energy to bring into a nation chat.
Yeah.
You know how big a news guy is.
Huge news. I think it's a few things. You could look at it that way. So I agree that it's up to the wingers for the RNH line, 100%. This is also a giant opportunity for RNH too, right? If he can regain the center ice position like this and play well and keep that line together and drive his own line, come contract negotiation, if he wants $7 million, he's then earned his $7 million.
Yeah, I think that the way that RNH plays on that second line, they're not going to train him at the deadline.
It's not to do that. And also, coach, it's Tippett that makes the lineups, not Holland.
Yeah.
Tippett saw that those three were buzzing, and he knows we need to rack up some wins right now and kind of get everything back on the rails. So Tip's going to keep leaning in with that line because they played for us so well last game. So that's not a Holland maneuver. That's a Tippett maneuver.
Yeah, and they're not going to trade him at the deadline. The Oilers aren't going to be sellers in that kind of scenario unless they're trying to retrieve back some of those second and thirds that they've lost over the last few years. I just don't see it happening. It's not happening. Okay, one last question here before we get into our money talk. Ben says, do you guys think that Cahoon is overrated? Not seeing a lot out of him. Any thoughts?
Well, he's making $900,000. So, what do you He's probably if you just look at production, he's probably exceeding what $900,000 gets you. So, yeah, he shows flashes of brilliance. There is a hockey player there. There is some chemistry with Leon. Sometimes I find that he tries to force it too much, and he does. Most nights he does come out and skate hard and battle hard. So I think they're just they're trying to just kind of get him to be a little bit more consistent because there is nights he makes some big mistakes, and we can't have that. So I still believe in it. It's a value, $900,000. There's not that's
a no loss.
That's good.
That's cutting your losses on that one.
Yeah.
Dylan Crow says, haha, you guys are totally right. I love Nuge to death, But unless he's going to play 3C next year, I don't see why we need to give him $7 million. It's a dangerous conversation.
We don't want to be paying your third line center $7 million dollars.
Unless
we want to be like
in the top six.
You want to be in the top six.
Team, he's in the top six.
Yeah, and if he's a winger, that's fine because it's still the Nuge.
Brad Stepanko's coming in. Does Hot Dog think Lake Crowd is going to score again tonight?
I'll have to talk to him.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Throw out a tweet
I'll have to talk because I also don't want to tarnish his reputation and force him into making a bet. So when he tells me to make a bet, I will listen because I don't want to force him on it and ruin his record.
Okay, our next headline here is when is too late for a trade. Let's touch on this very, very briefly because we had someone coming in. Chris says, who do you see them going after at the deadline? We don't want to talk too much about the deadline, but of course the deadline this year, April 12th. But with all the COVID regulations, you're likely looking at a player not getting in for 2 weeks after that scenario. So I think differing from this year, Jay, as compared to last year, is we're probably not going to see a lot of action on deadline day.
It'll be well before.
It's going to be well before. It's almost like there's 2 deadline days this year.
There's a Canadian,
there's like the deadline day that's literally 2 weeks before April 12th.
Yeah.
It's almost. I wonder if there's going to be any deals that happen exactly 2 weeks before April 12th, just for the legality of it.
Yeah,
funny.
I bet you there will be. So I guess you can look at it as a negative or a positive because essentially there's the U.S. trade deadline where all the American teams can just do all their transactions on April 12th, and that player they trade for can play on the 13th. And for us, we, for time, you get to want them to, because this is the home stretch. You want these impact players to come and help because you either need to get wins or you need to move yourself up in the rankings for your playoff positioning and matchup. So, that's a negative, but the positive to it is that we're first to market.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get someone that's available for another team. So maybe that'll force the U.S. teams and then fall inside with the Canadian trade deadline. And then really, what the hell are we even talking about? So who are we targeting? Only things and rumblings I've heard is there's been some connection to Raquel. I've heard Getzlaf thrown around a couple times, and I haven't really heard much other than that.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting next month and a half here leading up to the deadline. I couldn't predict anything that's going to happen.
Who could we dance with on the Canadian? What Canadian team was willing to dance with us? And then trade talk, and then it has to be Ottawa. It has to be. It won't be Calgary, but they'll be below us. Could be Vancouver, but then
Brandon Sutter maybe as a 3C. Unless you're going to get money moving in the other direction. I don't know. We got lots of time to talk about trades. Let's talk about tonight's game. Money talk.
Money talk.
This is
buzzing. Bank account is flush again.
Yeah.
After getting decimated once again, this is how I remember the Toronto series because my bank account got smashed, or my betting account. And Saturday was good for me. I risked everything I had left in it, which wasn't a lot. It was like $55 on a bunch of different things. And I turned that into a magical 150, 151 or something like that. Blew every goal.
Yeah, I am.
Plus 250.
I'm the opposite. My account has a couple of zeros on it right now.
Well, it's because you missed out, so you kept holding out.
I know.
That was Saturday night was the night.
No, I promised myself I would hold out after the Super Bowl, and then the night that I got back in, I got hammered.
Then you learned, but you know what? The only way to bet yourself out of a hole, that's the answer. You got to bet your way out of the jam.
I've said it before. Safe money don't make money, and I'll be back. I'll be back soon. Money line. Oilers minus 250. Even coming off a win for the Senators. Coolbet still thinks they're terrible, so the Sens are plus 205. If you want to get the Oilers at minus 1.5, you're still not even getting good odds. Minus 102 for the Oilers to win by 2. If you want to get any sort of plus odds on the Oilers winning tonight's game, you got to get them at minus 2.5 at plus 185. Over-under is set right around 6.5 at plus 110 if you want to get the over 6.5. And then player props, Jay. Got any intuitions? Any slight tinglings for tonight?
Yeah, I'm not touching the money line.
No.
Well, you bet on the Oilers to win, but it's just I don't know. I like to chase the odds, so that's why I'm not doing it. So I'm just gonna have some fun in the props, and I'm just kind of really isolating to one single event, and that's Yamamoto.
Yep.
Yamamoto is gonna be flying with the big boys for that entire game. I don't know if he's going to get any power play time, but anytime even if you're playing 5-on-5 with McDavid and Draisaitl, shit's going to happen, and just as a byproduct, you're going to get some points. So I'm going two things. I'm going Yamo goal, and I'm going to go Yamo over 1.5 points. And Yamo over 1.5 paying like plus 350. I got it written down now.
Yamo over 2.
1.5.
I always got to hit the bigger thing. So
it's all good. I got it written down.
1.5. You're correct. 350. Goal is going to be plus 240. You do recall the last time the Oilers played the Senators, you ended up placing a wager on a Senator, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I do love my Stützle.
You love Stützle.
I love Stützle. I got a lot of time for him. Yeah, we'll see.
Giving it a look. He had a nice goal in the shootout last night.
Yeah, he sure did. He's always buzzing. But you know what? I think I'm just gonna focus because it's like to chase. Like, you got to chase big things to try to make money from this game. So I just kind of you got to chase McDavid over 2.5 points, which is super realistic. But I'm just gonna, have some fun, put a few bucks on the ammo, pump up our boy there a little bit, and see if it pays dividends.
I wish they gave us a German parlay where you could parlay Stützle and Draisaitl to score tonight. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be good. I'd actually take that.
Maybe probably around plus 500.
Yeah, it'd be juicy.
It'd be not bad. Jay, that's gonna wrap it up. That was a heavy show. We had a lot to talk about.
So heavy.
Well, not heavy, but it was juicy. We talked a lot about the Oilers coming back after that tough series against the Leafs, which is essentially in the rearview mirror now.
Yeah, so far behind us.
And now with a couple of series coming up against some weaker teams in our division, it's time to start piling those wins again. And I don't want to use the term weak wins or weak teams because these are all
NHL teams. All NHL teams.
Any last thoughts, Jay?
Well, like I said, you have to respect. There is some firepower on this team, so we have to respect that. We have to defend these guys, and we have to exploit. Like, their defense isn't the greatest, so we have to exploit that. And I don't think it's Matt Murray in net tonight either. So it's
not
Bromberg or whatever.
It's not even Broberg or it's not even I can't even say his name.
You're on the lineups page.
It's Joey Decord.
Oh, Joey Decord. Okay.
Do you know who?
Well, you got to shell Joey.
Shell Joey.
As
always, we want to thank all of you for being a part of the show. Brett Leahy actually just came in and said, driving by Draisaitl right now. So Draisaitl's on his way to the rink.
That Draisaitl goal. Draisaitl goal.
Dylan says, love the interaction, boys. Love this show. Thank you, Dylan. We love the input you bring to the show. Actually, speaking of driving by, I'll quickly plug this in here. I drove by title sponsor of the pregame show yesterday, Brett Kissel. Yeah, I drove by him.
Oh, wicked. Nice, he did the anthem on Saturday, too. That was a nice touch.
I said, that is title sponsor.
He's our boss.
Show, Brett Kissel.
Brett Kissel is our boss.
He's our boss.
You know what? He's a good boss.
A great boss. As always, thank you all so much for being a part of tonight's show. Enjoy the game tonight. Bet responsibly. It's going to be a good one. I don't want to use the term point night, but it's going to be fun.
I just want to win.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Let's just get a win.
Let's just get a win.
The Oilers are back. Here comes another hot streak. Enjoy the game. We will see you on